Hey, how you doing, Chief?
I'm doing good. Cyrus, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm excellent. So, what do we want to talk about today for our Brushpix video?
Well, let's talk a little bit about my past experience at Marvel. I think people like to hear behind-the-scenes stuff like that.
Sure, absolutely. So, I guess a good first question to ask is, how long did you work at Marvel?
Well, I started out as an intern at Marvel in 1993.
Okay.
Got in my last senior year in high school. Then I was there for about 6 months or so as an intern, and then after graduating from high school, I was hired as an intern again, and then I moved into doing a little bit of work in editorial with some of the editors, filling in for sometimes for assistant editors, and then eventually went freelancing at Marvel Comics, doing mostly coloring and all of that. But that was exciting work for a kid, 18 out of high school, and just go directly to Marvel Comics.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. So I assume you were there before the crash and everything, right?
The crash happened in 1997.
Okay.
So I was there from 93 all the way till 2000.
Okay.
It was kind of like lingering the last 3 years when I was there.
I see. Yeah.
When you go in, it's not even the same atmosphere anymore.
Oh, I can just imagine.
Yeah.
So what was like pre and post crash?
Well, before crashed, we in the industry used to call it the second golden age of comic books.
Yeah.
Mainly because there was so much money flowing around. I was doing coloring, 18-year-old, and I was getting $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Just coloring pages, because there was so much work that goes around, needed to be produced.
Yeah.
I think Marvel was up to about 100 titles a month at the time.
That's a lot.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of books. And you could just walk around the editorial department and you walk home with a stack of pages they need to color. And then quite often they would even call you in because there's stuff that needs to be rushed out. That comes in late and they need somebody to come and work on it immediately. And they usually, it was like a rate and a half on top of the regular rate. So you're making even more money. So it was just unbelievable. I don't get royalties as a colorist, but I have friends who were inkers, and then we need some penciler and writers. They were getting a cut of the royalties, and some of their paycheck was like $10,000 a month or more than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do they still do that nowadays?
They still give royalties, but I don't know what the sales numbers are exactly that they hand out royalties anymore.
Sure.
It used to be if the sales above 100,000, they would start cutting you in on that. I don't know what Marvel does exactly anymore. I haven't been really in touch with a lot of these people there since 2000.
Okay.
And things have definitely changed. The sales are nowhere near as good. I think Marvel barely breaks 100,000 with only 2 or 3 titles a month.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess while you were working there as a colorist, you got a chance to be able to see a lot of the different processes that go on while being able to run that kind of company, right? Yeah. So what's the general process from beginning to end of making a comic book?
Well, the comic always starts with the script. The writer would come up with the script with the story of the month. Then it's submitted to the editor. They probably go through some discussions or changes, but most of the time they don't, because we were so busy at the time pumping books out. Whatever is turned in, it just kind of just hands off to the next production stage, which is the penciler, and then the inkers. Of course, I'm the colorist. I get it last before they hand it off, because lettering and coloring can happen at the same time.
Sure.
So I would be sort of the last in that art production stage. But quite often, when things are running late, I would start getting pages even before the whole book is finished.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. If the inker is done with like 2 or 3 pages, they would send it. They would send me copies, and we would just go ahead and coloring. And back then, we were not doing digital coloring; it was all still done by hand. So either used markers, or used what I call colored dyes, or even watercolors to kind of do guides on a piece of paper, and then be handed off to the printing companies. That they'll handle the final color setting.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. How long was the general cycle from beginning to end?
About a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about a month. Because Marvel was just turning its wheels, very, very fast, which is why some of the slower artists starts to get delayed. Quite often, books run late, but Marvel will have a sort of a backup, plan, which is like they would sometimes, have other writers or artists submit single issues that's standalone stories. They can run them as inventory books. In case something's running late, we can put this out. And fill that gap. Which is why back then, when sometimes when you read a Marvel comic, you have your continuous serialized story. But then suddenly in 1 month, it's a totally different standalone story, written by a different writer, done by a different artist. And I remember you used to read it, go, what happened? Why did we jump away from the main story for a while. But that's really the sort of what they do to try to catch up for a month.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I guess because they had so much manpower and they were able to do so much, they were able to get that 1 month turnaround time. So they were starting something in January with the expectation of putting out in February?
No, it's about a 3 month production gap.
Okay.
Yeah, because what it is the way it works is, the first month is all production.
Right.
Then it's sent off to the printer. That sometimes takes a month to get sent back, and then from printer to the shop takes probably between a week to 4 weeks, depending on where the location is.
Okay.
Because books are shipped to Canada or overseas. It's like that, and it's also why sometimes when you buy a U.S. copy of Marvel Comics, the month is never the right month for the issue. Like you could be buying it in March, and they would say January or like December on it. But that's because they're compensating for shipping to other countries.
That makes sense. Yeah. So there's a lot of different things to consider while doing that. So for our own production, we're also doing about 3 months per issue, give or take. Right.
Well, we're trying. We don't have the super manpower like Marvel and DC.
Right. But one of the big things that we don't have to worry about is we don't have to worry about distribution the same way.
Yes.
Because it's rather easy to put it on our site. We did the hard work at the beginning.
Yes.
Number two is that we don't really have to worry about what's called advertising the same way in which we would for like Marvel or DC. We can just advertise it on the site through social media. So that does speed it up.
Yes.
But again, it's just you doing most of the artwork here at the beginning, or whoever else you may contract out to be able to
Sure.
do it.
Well,
So,
but the thing we're doing a little differently is we may be releasing the pages in batches instead of a whole issue.
Right.
Instead of doing like 22-page or 30-page comic book, we may put out 5 to 10 pages each time.
Sure.
And I think that's probably the way to go about with this whole distribution on the internet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially since people can come as many times as possible. They can view it on their phone. They can view it on the computer or a tablet rather easily.
Yeah.
And so the app is also coming soon, so that'll be great.
Well,
but
hopefully, yes.
I believe so. But we're working on it.
Okay, we're working on it.
Main point though is that the way in which people can view it is a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And so that changes the production, but in general, a lot of those same steps will still be there, right?
Yeah. So production is one thing, but one of the things that really, as independent publisher now, what we consider is marketing.
Right.
Well, because the way Marvel used to market was very different than what we have to consider now.
Sure.
Marvel used to market primarily to comic book shops.
Right.
So there's already an existing location they can send their advertising material to, which is either posters or even racks or little displays like that.
Sure.
To get people interested and get people hyped up. We can't really do that. And so online, I think we're at a stage where we're trying to discover what kind of audience we can nab with our products right now.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the major differences.
Right.
There's no existing fan base that we can tap into. We have to kind of go look for one.
Right. It's not business to business. It's business directly to the final customer.
To the final customers.
And so we're a little bit less removed maybe than maybe Marvel or Disney was. Sorry, not Disney, but DC was beforehand, maybe in the 90s. I guess another question along with that would be, how do you feel like our company has strategically placed itself within the current environment for comic books and media in general?
I think we have a good shot, because if you look at the actual state of the comic book industry, it's been on decline for many, many years.
Sure.
I think it's been on decline since the end, since the '97 when the whole industry fell apart.
Absolutely.
And Marvel went through bankruptcy at the time. I think the industry never recovered. And the thing is, after like almost 20 years, you figure there should be some recovery. But if you look at the sales number, it keeps going down and down and down. Part of it is because print medium is dying. There's no doubt about it. I think another part is a lot of the creative work right now is not really targeting a wide audience.
True.
I think it's kind of even like what we talk about the way marketing used to work, is they keep producing books that are targeting the existing customer base, the existing readers. You don't really hear Marvel and DC talk about how we have a concrete plan to reach people outside of those that are already kind of that's already been buying our products already. And that's something I've kind of noticed within the comic book industry.
Absolutely, and then conversely, at the same time, you want to make sure that you keep your current audience and show them that you care about what they're doing.
Yes.
And so we're not going to try to, create a character and then, just try to ruin the continuity or ruin the arc that they had originally had, for some kind of political agenda. So I think, but definitely both sides of that issue need to be considered.
Well, I think that my approach to comic book, probably in the past 10 years or so, is to figure out who my target audience is first. Decide, okay, who am I creating a book that's for people who like anime, or am I creating a book that's for people who like superhero?
Sure.
I decide on that first, and then from there we look at, okay, what is popular in the market? What are some of the competitors putting out? What is it that people talk about? What does that get people excited? And you look at from these angles, and then we kind of figure out, okay, what kind of story can we tailor make toward these audiences?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. So far we have 6 books, 6 actual IPs out there on the site right now.
Yes.
Captain China having 12, right?
Yes.
What was the general process, right, for being able to figure out how you're going to put those together?
Well, Captain China was really kind of like a big experiment when I started. And I underestimated how much effort and work has to be put into that.
Yeah.
Because you work for Marvel and you work for DC, or even for places like Tokyo Pop or Viz. I've had history dealing with these companies. They have a lot of resources and money to make things happen very, very rapidly. So you think, okay, originally Captain China, when we planned it, it was going to be 12 issues. I figured, okay, 12 issues. Marvel used to roll out a book a month. For us, if we just do every other month, we'll be done with it in 2 years. Not realizing how difficult it is to manage a project on your own, not having a editorial staff, not having a tap into inkers and colors and everything. I was pretty much doing Captain China almost all by myself.
Yeah.
Besides getting Jim Lai as the penciler to handle that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I had to do the cleanup. I had to do the lettering, and even maintaining some of the coloring, and because some of those we were able to outsource a little bit to a few online guys I found. But overall, when the pages came back, I had to make sure all the color coordination matches. So it's kind of one-man job on that project, and it took about 7-8 years to finish.
Yeah.